Good morning.
I just love what we do with our kids. You know, we've got a school for during the week. We've got them on Sundays. We teach them that they can do anything, that they can be anything, that their lives are theirs to create. I love that, and so that's what I want to do with you. I want to teach you that you can do anything. You can be anything, that your life is yours to create. That you are the captain of your ship. That you are the master of your fate. You determine your destiny. It is not something that is blown around and that happens to smack you upside of the head and that's your life. That's not what's going on here. What's going on is that we are powerful, creative, spiritual beings alive and well on planet Earth. And so I want to talk about mastering life. And if you can see the middle there, that's the light being that we are. You know, I think I'm going to use John's lectern here. Woohoo! I get the whole stage. And when I talk about mastering life, I don't want you to go to, all right, you ready for it? Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, for those of you who didn't think I could do it. Where God created us in its image and likeness. Male and female, he created them and gave dominion over the fowls of the earth, the air, the cattle of the ground, and the fish in the sea, and the creepy crawlers, and all of that. I don't want you to misunderstand the idea of mastery, meaning that now we have this thing called dominion. Because dominion is all about control, and frankly, I think there was a mistranslation somewhere in the 360 some odd translations that the King James Version has gone through, to where dominion maybe wasn't really the idea that God had. Maybe it wasn't about, okay, you people, you get planet Earth and you can do anything you want to it. To any plant, to any piece of ground, to any body of water, to any living creature, you can do whatever you want. I'm not sure that's what it was meant. But what I want to talk about is this idea of mastery. And master means a person eminently skilled at something. A person eminently skilled at life. Mastering life. Being able to use the tools that we have to live the life that we want to live. And what I think a mastering of life would be for us to be able to think the thoughts that we want to think. Now that presupposes that you know what thought you want to think. Most people don't have a clue. They don't have a clue about the thoughts even running through their head from one ear to the other. They just think them. We, on the other hand, say, stop. Do you really want to think that thought? Do you really want to own it? Do you want to name it? Do you want to claim it? Do you want to know it? Do you want to grow it? So if we're going to think the thought that we want to think, we have to first know what thought that is. And even before that, we have to know what thought we're thinking. So we have to begin to be aware of the thoughts that we think, to be able to look at it and go, is that really what I want to think? Or is there a better thought? That's why our movement is called New Thought, because we're supposed to have one. We're supposed to have new thoughts regularly. I think that mastering life is to be able to decide what we want to think and then to have the wherewithal to think it. I think that mastering life is to decide what feeling we want to feel and then to feel it. And I've had people leave the center over this one. People say, I cannot help my feelings. And I go, of course you can. Of course you can. You're not a victim of your feelings. You're not a victim of what's going on around you and inside of you. You are the master of your ship. You are the captain of your ship. You are the one who is deciding, I think I will do a little jealousy. Oh, it's a beautiful day. I think I'll do sadness. Oh, I've done sadness a while, so I think I'll go ahead and go into depression. I'll do a little depression now. Maybe I can get some meds and catch a buzz. And then they come here and they go, well, I can't do anything about my feelings. Of course you can. To decide how you want to feel and feel it is being eminently skilled at life. And then to decide what you want to say and say it. Boy, I've gone back in my life a number of times and said, I need to clean this up. Really, what I wanted to say was, because what I said wasn't what I wanted to say, it was what I thought you wanted me to say. And this is what I really wanted to say. And rather than just sweep it under the rug, you got to go back and say it if you're going to be a master of life. So to be able to decide what you're going to think and think it, what you're going to feel and feel it, what you're going to say and say it, and then what you're going to do and do it. To me, that's mastering life. And I know it's a tall order. I know that there are a lot of people who say, this science of mind teaching, it asks too much of us. We're only human. Not. You are divine. You are spirit and form as you. Human is such a small vibrational point of what you are. You are God in form as you. And so because I live my life out loud, I have to confess. I gave you a little bit of what was going on with me last Sunday when I stood up here and said, I'm not giving the talk because I can't see. And what I know is that the more aware we get, the faster and more powerful our demonstrations come. Right? So I'm pushing 35 years here in this teaching. And here I am at Asilomar, having a wonderful time until someone didn't live up to my expectations. Until someone that I see very rarely and evidently have some ideas of how they should behave didn't do that. I was shocked. I was incensed. I was pissed. And I told John about that too. I shared that with him. I was spitting bullets, boy. I was running that story over and over and over and over again. And he said, the only way out of this is to love. I'm not going to love? Love? You know, tell the truth. Righteous indignation is, for me, the hardest one to let go of because I'm right. Now, isn't it funny how time and space works? Because time and space are not linear. So things can happen in the past to come into alignment with your present moment. And so what evidently had happened was that somewhere along the way, whether it was in the redwood forests or in the meadow at Asilomar when the new ministers were walking through the meadow like Christy did last year, somewhere along the way, I, through the law of attraction, attracted some poison oak. And because I was irritated, my eyes were itching, and I was scratching them, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to not wear makeup for a day, and my eyes are going to be fine. Well, they weren't. And I kept scratching and being irritated until Sunday morning when I awakened, I couldn't open my eyes. I said, John's not here. John's flying back from Canada. Christy's in Northern California having a, don't say that, having a with Ursula. And so I'm thinking, I created this. I created this being here all by myself and not being able to see, not being able to open my eyes. And then I thought, what is irritating me? What is it that I don't want to see in the world? What have I let get under my skin? And I knew right away what it was. I knew right away it was all of my judgment and my upset. It was very irritating. It's hard to be upset. It's hard to be in judgment. It takes a toll on your body, makes them swell up. And so John came in. He came in from Canada, and he did the talk, and I went home, and I immediately did this release. And I just hung out in the love that was always there for the person that I had temporarily forgotten that I loved them. And it was only a couple of hours later that my eyelids were fine. Wow. They were just fine. They weren't swollen anymore. They didn't look like the Rocky Mountains. They didn't hurt. They didn't itch. They weren't dripping. None of that stuff. They were fine because I chose to feel the feeling that I wanted to feel. I want you to get how important this is. You are way beyond the level where you can use your creative abilities to be upset. And that goes for political campaigns. It goes for financial experiences. It goes for relationships. You no longer get to hold on to anger and upset without being willing to pay the price for it. And I assure you the price will come faster and faster, just like your cool demonstrations come faster and faster. Although I thought this was pretty cool because I learned a lot from it. And so you come into this teaching and I say, you get to think the thoughts you want to think. You get to feel the feelings you want to feel. You get to say the words you want to say, and you get to do the things that you want to do. And I know that that asks a lot from you, but it is truly the only way to live. Because if you don't live that way, you are a victim instead of a master. And there are many opportunities that people have to be victims. Sometimes it seems like they had nothing to do with them. There was a town called Enterprise, Alabama, back in 1915. And they were doing great. They were growing cotton, and they were all prospering. All the farmers were prospering. They should have called it Prosperity, Alabama. They were doing great until the boll weevil made its way into the southeast. And the boll weevil is a nasty little bug. Go ahead and show it. That gets on the cotton plant and kills it. And so here you have all of this investment. You've tilled the ground, you fertilized it, you planted your crop, and it comes up almost ready to burst into its full cotton manifestation of life. And along comes this little tiny bug and kills it. And so it decimated their cotton crop. They were going under. They were about to file bankruptcy. The farmers were all about to lose their farms. And this is a true story. The town got together and they decided to do something different. They said, well, one door is closed. Nobody's able to grow cotton anymore because of this darn boll weevil. It's putting us all out of business. So we're either going to give up and lose everything, or we're going to change. We're going to take this as an opportunity to think a new thought, to feel a new feeling, to speak a new word, and to do something new. And one of the farmers had heard about this thing called a peanut. So they said, well, we're not getting anywhere with cotton. Let's go ahead and try peanuts. It took one season for the profit from the new peanut crop to pay all the debt off of all of the farmers and to change the economy of this town forever. I love it. And they were so grateful that the boll weevil had decimated their cotton crop that they actually built a statue. Now this sits in Enterprise, Alabama today. It's a statue of gratitude to the boll weevil for helping them change what they were doing. Because if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you always got. So now if you go to Enterprise, Alabama, they will look you right in the eye and say, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Okay, thank you, Brian. And yet people say, Barbara, surely we're going to grow out of this need to be challenged and to transform our lives. Surely there's something in this teaching that can make it easier. Maybe that phrase, ease and grace. I want my demonstrations to come in ease and grace. I want my life to unfold in ease and grace. And sometimes that translates to, I don't want to be inconvenienced by my true love, my prosperity, my physical healing, and my total abundant joy and success. I want those things, but don't bother me along the path. Let's have it in ease and grace. That sounds good, doesn't it? Except there's some kind of a natural law. It's an evolutionary principle that challenges us. It challenges us. Do you know that when the salmon swim upstream, they will bump up against the rocks, and they will go and they will find the place in the stream where the current is strongest, where it's really moving, because what they know is that there's no rock upstream from that point. And although it's going to take a lot more effort for them to swim up the fastest moving part of the current, they know they can make it without hitting a boulder or a rock. And so I have to look at that and say, what's going on with our growth? If the stream seems a little rapid, is that a bad thing? Is that some fault in our consciousness? Or does that mean that we're ready to have a clear path to where we want to go? I had my grandsons, Aiden and Noah, with me Friday, and they spent the night. They had a sleepover on Friday night, and we were at Blockbuster getting a movie to use up the time while they were there. Thank God for videos. And for the very first time, they ran over to the gaming stations, and they were looking at the games, and I said, no, these are not movies. They said, we know, these are games. I said, well, you can't get a game because Nana doesn't have a gaming console. They looked at me like I was some archaic dinosaur. What do you mean you don't have a gaming console? So they're of the age to play games. And what I know is that when you're playing video games, God is in the video game, everything is great, but when you're playing a video game and you master the first level, you go up to the second level. And when you go up to the second level, especially with the types of video games that there are, they don't come with instruction sheets. Okay, now you're going to have this in your gun, and this is going to pop out from the side, so watch out, because as soon as you get here, this thing's going to happen. You just kind of get thrown in there, and you have to figure it out as you go along. So as soon as you bump up to a new level in your video game, there's confusion, there's chaos. You're stressed because you're in a new environment, learning new things very quickly, sometimes under gunfire, if it's that kind of a game. Is that a bad way to grow? Is there not some kind of a natural state to that? So when we master some level of livingness, all of a sudden we find ourselves in a whole different realm. We master the level of tit-for-tat relationship, of anger and fault-finding, and then we find ourselves in a whole new realm. And we've got to figure it out. We've got to figure it out on the fly. We master the art of poverty, and then we learn how to demonstrate abundance, and it's just not that easy to know what to do with money once you get it. People think, oh, I would know exactly what to do with money. No, you don't. You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out on the fly. People master one level of physical expression, and then they find themselves in another one. And they've got to figure it out on the fly. They find themselves in a stream, swimming upstream in the fastest current. It's a good way to grow. It's a good way to be. I love the Olympics. Just love the Olympics. And I've been very mindful of my desire to live in the competitive universe. 102 gold medals, last I heard. But what I love about the Olympics is the Olympic spirit. I love the spirit of Olympians, of people who will go beyond that level and figure it out. How do you go faster than anybody's ever gone? How do you twist and twirl more times than anyone ever has as they fall into the pool? How do you jump higher than anyone has ever jumped before? I love this idea that says there's something within us that's calling us to be greater than we've ever been before. And so how about that Monteo Mitchell, Western North Carolina, Mooresboro, North Carolina. He was in the qualifying heat of the men's 4x400 meter, and he broke his leg. He was halfway through. He was at the 200 meter mark. And if he collapsed, they never would have made it into those final rounds. They would have just been disqualified right then and there. So what did our North Carolina guy do? He ran 200 meters on a broken leg. And they finished fast enough to qualify into the next round. Or how about the man that showed up at the Olympics with no legs? How about that South African man, Oscar Pistorius? No legs. And he ran. Does it matter if he didn't win a medal? No. He showed up and he ran. There was something in him that said, I was born with no bones in my legs. They cut them off before I was a year old. There is something within me that will run. And run he did. We had our second pregnant medal winner in the Olympics. 35 weeks. She could have popped that baby out any minute. She was in the 10-meter air rifle event. Or the woman from Saudi Arabia, Sarah Attar, who at home was not allowed to drive a car, is not allowed to vote, and had to run the race fully dressed. She came in an entire lap behind everyone else, and the entire stadium rose to its feet, cheering her for coming and running in the Olympics. I'm not talking about whether or not the world sees you as a gold medalist. I'm talking about having a new thought, feeling a new feeling, speaking a new word, and taking a new action in life. Close to my heart, Kayla Harrison, gold medal winner in women's judo. Much of her childhood, she was suicidal because her judo teacher was sexually abusing her. And what she did is she won the gold. She rose up past that experience to say, I know who I am, and I'm going to stand tall. Tonight, during the closing ceremonies, the U.S. flag will be carried by a man named Bryshon Nellam. 4 years ago, he was hit in a drive-by shooting. His legs were shot. The doctors told him he wasn't going to be an athlete anymore. His legs were shot up. He ran in the Olympics, and he's carrying the U.S. flag tonight. Gabby Douglas. Gabby Douglas, God, at 14, she moved away from everyone she knew to go live with her coach in states far away. Do you know that this year Gabby Douglas's mom filed bankruptcy and they were about to lose their home? And she won the gold. Yeah. Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps, 22 medals, 18 of them gold. Do you know that before every race, he runs it through his mind? He does visualizations and imagery. He has every moment of that race rehearsed in his mind before he ever hits the water. If you see him, he's in by the pool with earbuds on because he doesn't want to hear anything other than what he's decided will go into his head. He rehearses how the water will feel. He rehearses how his turns will be. He rehearses where his arms and feet and legs will go. He even rehearses if there's something that happens out of the norm, like his goggles come out, or his, not shower cap, his bathing cap comes off. He rehearses all of that so that it gets into his words, his subconscious mind. He says he programs his unconscious mind to win. And his quote is, "Your mind really is the key." It's all about your mind. It's all about thinking the thoughts that you want to think, feeling the feelings that you want to feel, speaking the words that you want to speak, and then doing what you say you're going to do. Don't say you're going to do something and cave. My gosh, certainly don't tell me you're going to do something and then cave, because what you're saying is, "Barbara, this is true for everyone in the universe but me. Please see me as less than." No, I'm not going to do it. I am not going to see you as less than. You are a powerful, creative, spiritual being, alive and well on planet Earth. You are the one who decides how your life will be. Step up, stand up, show up. Be proud of who you are. And why don't we? Because we see ourselves as that little iceberg. We see ourselves as a little iceberg floating in the water. And the truth is that is who we are. That is who we are, the depth of our consciousness, the depth of our spiritual being. Huge. People see us as this body, this job, this name, this story. That's not who we are. We are God in form as us. It is about time that we, in the words of Charlie Shepherd, started acting like it. Started being the God being that we have come here to be. Don't let your story get in the way. Don't let some accident get in the way. Don't let the fact that nobody's done it before get in the way. That is who you are. When you look at yourself in the mirror, if you just see that little tiny thing on the bottom, open up your awareness to see your magnificence, to see your light, to see your power. And then, next slide, you will master your life. And so it is.